Never wanting you to let me go, especially when they turn up and try to get me to forget who I am in you. It be like they want me dumb when it come to you, always trying to keep me silent like that 0 and 2. Whenever I speak up on behalf of you, and that's just how they did Yahudah. When a fairy talk, they try to fool you. When the Sadges speak, they try to pull your triggers. The holy of the Ruach in them not. Got that head knowledge, but spirit in them rot. Got that book knowledge, but understanding clocked it. And while the spirit is willing, my soul be hitting ceilings. I cry to you in the spirit that help me manage my feelings. Be growing weary and well doing. Cause they be out here testing me going through it. I'm looking for your word to come through, pulling scriptures where you promise.
They tell us we should be quiet, or us is gonna get violent. But I'm giving praise to the highest, and I got words for these giants. So tell them put me on speaker, don't put me on silent. I said put me on speaker, don't put me on silent. Yeah, mouthpiece in the last days, frankincense in my ashtrays, maintaining peace even after these plagues. I pray for divine wisdom, it came with my age. It's a lot of spiritual predators, Bible editors, Elohim competitors, fast food for thought, confused off of what they fed to us. But in the wilderness, we moving off the cloud ahead of us. I told you in the song, fall away what was dead to us. We the temple, he the strong tower, no other edifice. My lady and I talking, leaving, and they all scheming. Cause we start poking holes in the doctrine of demons, making the people think if y'all said it, he mean it, and study for themselves. So it's tell us we should be quiet, or us is gonna get violent. But I'm giving praise to the highest, and I got words for these giants. So tell them put me on speaker, don't put me on silent. I said put me on speaker, don't put me on silent. They tell us we should be quiet, or us is gonna get violent. But I'm giving praise to the highest, and I got words for these giants. So tell them put me on speaker, don't put me on silent. I said put me on speaker, don't put me on silent.
And that's just how they did Yahudah. When a fairy talk, they try to fool you. When the Sadges speak, they try to pull your triggers.
How much deeper does it go? This rabbit hole. Anybody got a clue? Anybody know? Another day, another battle. Licking my wounds, I was beaten by my rivals. Even in truth, it's like a struggle for survival. Gotta stay true, cause I know the kingdom's ours. That's why I got goals. Ask me how do I know that the vision is show, cause I read it out the Bible. Gotta learn to read the signs. I promise in time that you can read between the lines. Just read the signs, the way is clear every time. The verses in scriptures, seek it you can find. Just read the signs, this is the moment, feel my vibe.
King, well, I am. I see you in the building, Ike. Shalom, Shalom, King. Salute. Much respect to you, Ike.
Will I live to see today, or just end up in the grave? Am I falling? Catch myself tracing my steps. Father gave me this breath. Holy Spirit, hear you calling. Planning for G's, but I was fired from my workplace. Despite a degree, I thought I'm plotting in the worst way. Struggle and strive. In my 94 rise, see my demise. You can see the pain, look in my eyes. In my search of currency, find a way to survive. Got a sense of urgency, had to seek the most high. Read my Bible, load my ammo at Diablo. Counting my cash, but not enough to buy a condo. Even life still is hard living in Toronto. Watching the news, I see the truth when I'm in Scarborough. Reading my cars, got me fully involved. Facing the odds with a good Lord, save me from the fall. Gotta learn to read the signs. I promise in time that you can read between the lines. Just read the signs, the way is clear every time. The verses in scriptures, seek it you can find. Just read the signs, this is the moment, feel my vibe. It's harder to speak, that's why I break it down and rhyme. So you can rise, so go and open up your eyes. Free your mind, I remind you, you gotta read the signs. You gotta learn to read the signs. I promise in time that you can read between the lines. Just read the signs, the way it's clear every time. The verses in scriptures is easy you can find. Just read the signs, this is the moment, feel my vibe. It's harder to speak, that's why I break it down and rhyme. So you can rise, so go and open up your eyes. For your mind, not with mine, you just gotta read the signs. Read the signs. Read the signs, I know you hear me. Hey, read the signs. Read the signs, can you feel me? Hey, read the signs. Gotta learn to take it easy. Hey, read the signs. Gotta read the signs.
Hey, you gotta read the signs, Yasharal. You gotta read the signs. I want to sit there and give all praises to our Yahuah Yahuah and Yahusha, our Halakim. Hallelujah, hallelujah. With that being said, families, man, we is going to go over the exposure of the Serpent Seed doctrine. Families, this doctrine has been about getting close to almost 100 years old, man. And they've been pushing it hard, y'all. When I mean about pushing it hard, they got people going left. They got people going in angles. They don't know what to believe, families. When it comes down to this, not even this thing ain't even a 1,000 years old, y'all. But they got a lot of people in this era, in this age, that's believing that. So with that being said, families, we're going to rock out a little bit more. I got some gems, families. I got some gems for us. Yes. You know how we gets down over here. You know what we do. We 10 toes in this, families. And families, we're going to dive in deep. Let's go to the next music joint. And remember, families, you gotta read the signs.
Recording live from Babylon. Yo, it seems like I'm depressed, like I'm going through some, but been taking a lot of L's, just lost a loved one. But I keep my faith, you know. Going. I'm in a battle with myself. Ain't gonna lie, sometimes I'm feeling scared. I be worried for my health. I don't wanna see no hell at all. Doctor said I'm straight off. I pray to God to make you proud. My uncle died, it was from COVID, now my feelings wanna change. My cousin daddy died today, I seen him cry, I feel his pain. Really, I don't want the fame, you just want me for a name. Life is sin, is truly lame, seek the kingdom, not the grave. On the phone, and there's so much wanna tell you. Just hold me down, want your love, cause you so special. But how I'm feeling, it ain't no one I can tell it to. Who I can trust can only say a few. Mama, I'm so sorry, it seems like I don't care. Grandma, I miss the love you showed me, it ain't no one else. Mama, I love your love, I've been trying to find myself. You always had my back and showed me that you really care. I'm sorry I ain't called, I've been steady trying to heal myself. While I'm feeling at my lowest, God help. Seems like everything I'm doing, it ain't working out for me. Trusting y'all knows for a reason. Talk to James, he in the same season. And that's my brother that I love, I hope we all make it. Baby girl hit my phone, I know she still wait. Ready to leave, but still I gotta choose. Impress the most high, yeah, I gotta prove. You want my love, I gotta give you time. Forgive me, but I was wasting time. But I'm getting up, and I'm feeling strong. Can you forgive my ways? Forgive me all my wrongs. I can't let the devil win, gotta stay strong, stay strong. Say my prayers with faith, it won't take long, take long. Now I'm committed to his word, forsake my sins, don't wanna burn. Sometimes I'm hard-headed and stubborn, so I gotta always learn. I don't wanna do no wrong, I don't wanna see you fall. Woke up today, another chance, so I gotta give him all. I'm sorry I ain't called, I've been steady trying to heal myself. While I'm feeling at my lowest, God help. Seems like everything I'm doing, it ain't working out for me. Trusting y'all knows for a reason. Talk to James, he in the same season. And that's my brother that I love, I hope we all make it. Baby girl hit my phone, I know she still wait. Ready to leave, but still I gotta choose. Impress the most high, yeah, I gotta prove. You want my love, I gotta give you time. Forgive me, but I was wasting time. find my way inside without imposing. I'm only coming in when I see that you're open. I'm trying to show you that true love, it comes from God. I try to forgive you every time. Let's be real, that's your pride. Don't try to hide. Don't hide your fears. Don't hide your fears from me. Ooh, 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 I'm not just talking for you to hear me speak. I'll never force you, you gotta really see. It don't make no sense, but you gotta see it for yourself. I won't play again. I'll be your defense. I won't let you sin. I won't let you fall, cause I can see right now your heart's wide open. But if I go without permission, that's intruding. And if I force a thing, then you reject me slowly. Your heart's been crying out to me, I'm not imposing. My job's to notice. Your heart stop closing. When I give love, you get defensive. When I hurt inside, you start to speak, but now you notice. Just on my true intentions, it's not trying to take, I'm trying to give. I really wanna see you live. What's there to say when words can't come out of my mouth? And if so, why am I misunderstood? But I gave you everything, everything that's inside me. I guess not, because my outside remains small. I was thinking I could do anything, anything I want. In and out the club, in and out the church, all I want. Hanging with the bros, sleeping with the girls, all I want. Smoking all the weed, doing all the drugs, all I want. I thought you said you would still love me, as long as I said in my heart that I truly believe. Well, I'm a believer in you, I'm a believer in truth. I'm a believer in truth, but I'm a believer in proof. If I'm a believer in proof, then how did I get from the truth? And I want to give you all of me, with the reason of having to say goodbye. Don't let me go. So don't let me go. I want to live, want to be free. Take these shackles off of me. Please don't let me go. I was lost, but I am back again. Hoping that you can set me free.
Boom. Now this right here, families, I played this video, families, was to show you, families, that the Most High is truly trying to set you free out of something. You know what I'm saying? That way that you will be made free, families. He's trying to make you free, but the only way that you're going to be made free is once you get into the truth. The question is, what type of truth are you seeking? What type of truth are you seeking? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of knowledge out there, families. But with this knowledge, families, are you going to be able to obtain internal wisdom? Are you going to get that full entirety of the understanding, families, or whatever you're trying to be set free of? But you have to remember, families, that you was held in bondage on something The question is, what is holding you bound on something? What you being bound on? It's your mindset, families. It's the mind, man. The consciousness, my brothers and sisters. Where the faith lies in at. People thinking it's in your heart, but that true heart, families, is your mind. Let's go.
Facts about slavery they don't teach you in school. Slavery in America has a long and tumultuous history in America, as most of us are aware. Slaves were mostly brought in from Africa. Slavery was mostly practiced on plantations in Virginia, the Carolinas, and Georgia's coastal colonies. Slavery spread westward when the British colonies were combined into the United States and the country grew westward. However, it is not the end of the narrative. There's still a lot to learn. Before we move on the next step, please subscribe my YouTube channel so that you can be updated by my new videos. Where did slaves come from? Sailing ships transported potential slaves from Africa to the British American colonies in the South, and later, to the southern U.S. states. However, much more African slaves were transported to South America and the Caribbean Sea Islands than to the United States. But, where did all of those African slaves originate from? The crews of European sailing ships did not merely throw men ashore to collect up Africans. Slaves who were destined to be carried into slave ships were sold by other Africans in exchange for goods supplied by the slave ships. Tribes in Africa, like tribes all across the world since the birth of civilization, were, and still are, frequently at odds with one another. Except in rare circumstances where they learn it from others who are more sophisticated, tribes are usually unaware of the concept of agriculture. Tribes must scavenge for any food they can. Other tribes competed for the food in the land it grew on, and they still do. Killing and enslaving members of neighboring tribes was a vital element of life for a tribe before the rule of law, extensive usage of farming, and industrialization. Some tribes would be waiting to sell captured members of other tribes when slave ships arrived on the African coast. On the next visit of a slave ship, the scenario may be reversed, with other tribes selling captured members of the tribes that had previously sold slaves. Slave ships provided tribes with an easy opportunity to diminish the population of neighboring tribes. Slaves transported to slave ships were not the only Africans consigned to a life of servitude. Tribes all over Africa maintained and keep other Africans as slaves, and this practice continues to this day in much of Africa. The African slave trade existed long before the 1600s, when Africans were first shipped to the Americas. The Muslims outnumbered everyone else in terms of the number of people enslaved. Muslims enslaved an estimated 17 million individuals between 650 and 1905. Some were captured during Muslim ship attacks around Europe's shores, as far north as Ireland. Another 1 million people were enslaved in Muslim Ottoman Turkey from Ukraine and Poland. However, Africans made up the lion's share of people enslaved by Muslims, who were compelled to march north over the Sahara Desert, many of whom died in the process, to be sold into slavery by Muslim owners. The other slavery in America. Before Europeans set foot on the New World, slavery had been a part of American history for almost 10,000 years. Slavery was widespread among American Indian tribes, and it lasted until the late 1800s. Tribes have been fighting one another since the dawn of time, slaughtering and enslaving their foes. Slavery is an unavoidable aspect of tribal culture. We all have slave-owning ancestors. While there have been some initiatives to ameliorate slave treatment, to prohibit the importation of slaves in some areas, and even to abolish specific forms of slavery, such as debt slavery, slavery persisted throughout the world until the 1800s, less than 200 years ago. What really ended slavery? Slavery was finally abolished after two linked events kicked off the process. The Enlightenment, often known as the Age of Reason, began about the time John Locke wrote his treatises on individual rights in the 1680 to 1690 timeframe and ended around the time of the American Constitutional Convention in 1787. Individual rights, as a new philosophy, was a first for humanity, as it was the first manifestation of the idea that no one of us should be superior to another. This new and daring idea traveled first through England and her colonies, then more slowly to the rest of Europe, where monarchies reigned supreme. Fearing revolt, such kings did not want such disruptive ideas to be spread to their subject populations. Beyond Europe, the globe was still quite primitive, and the concept of individual rights had not yet made its way into Asia, Africa, or Latin America. it still hasn't made its way into many parts of the world today. Because the Founding Fathers transformed the bold ideals of the Enlightenment into realistic legislation and administration, the United States has been dubbed the child of the Enlightenment. The United States Constitution is founded on the Enlightenment concepts of individual rights. Those values were not, and still aren't, properly applied in the creation of the United States of America's government. The Founding Fathers of America, on the other hand, laid the groundwork for future generations to do what they couldn't. The United States has always been the driving force behind the global extension of individual rights. However, there is still work to be done. Socialism, which is inherently opposed to and destructive of individual rights, is the only doctrine that continues to obstruct the global development of the concept of individual rights. The Industrial Revolution, which began in Britain in the mid-1700s and extended to the United States and continental Europe in the early 1800s, was the second factor that hastened the abolition of slavery. Slavery became economically unviable as a result of the Industrial Revolution, making it simpler to abolish it. In terms of quality, quantity, and cost, mechanization and educated, trained people will always surpass unwilling, rote physical human labor. The growing income gap between the industrially developed northern states and the still agrarian southern states was becoming a significant and divisive issue for the country by the time of the American Civil War. The development of the southern states, on the other hand, has outpaced that of the northern states since the end of slavery and the decline of racism. 30 million people know slavery exists right now. However, slavery has not yet been abolished. Slavery is still practiced in many parts of the world, especially in areas where individual rights and industrialization are limited. Criminal organizations profit from slavery in more civilized countries, such as the United States. Slavery persists throughout equatorial Africa and southern Asia, particularly in India, Pakistan, Burma, Thailand, and Laos. 30 million people are enslaved now. Ask a sports figure or anyone else on bended knee what they are doing about slavery now and the 30 million people who live in it, in the present, and whether they care more about living human beings than mourning a former practice of humanity. I hope you find this video helpful. If you like the video, do...
And what a lot of people fail to realize, families, that its economic system, its foundation, its structure from it, its government, families, is built off money. It's clearly built off money. As long as people is successful in whatever they do, whatever type of scholarships they done got, degrees, titles, families, a title, y'all. These people want to get paid for it, families. They want to be able to provide for their families, their families, and their families, regardless of the poverty of anybody else. You have them, they're going to care for just a little moment, families. That's why the Most High tells you, families, there's nothing new up under the sun. And every reason have its season, or every season have its reason, Yasharal. So Zion, you have to recognize these signs, man. You don't have a choice. It's commanded of you. So when you have other brothers and sisters that's going in, they applying pressure just so you can understand what you're supposed to believe and not believe. Families, that is a good brother and sister, because they don't want you to fall off. People is built to put lies in your thoughts. They are built, families, to deceive you and use a lot of deception by any means necessary. And if you have a lack of knowledge on whatever it is, then you shall be destroyed. Just like in the book of Hosea, my people are destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. Let's go.
I'm being honest, I'm just a human, so no, I'm not flawless. They talking about me, I picked up the Bible, I carry my burden, my crosses. I'm not a thug, I'm a Hebrew by blood. Shot at my Akim, we got out the mud. Follow Messiah, he taught me to love. I pray to you, I will forgive all my flaws. Stepping with confidence, mama, she pray for me. Stuck in the matrix, we breaking out faithfully. You know my op, know the system, they hate on me. He wanna flip off the dog off the pedigree. Dog food, get you murdered, get you killed. It take a skill, it take a skill to be real time to heal. They want you to sleep out the lean out the pills. Popish environments, you hear the signs. It's so much cap in they rap, they be lying. Walking the spirit, forsaking the world. Building on people who waking us up. True to the trapping, they up in the slum. Malcolm got killed cause they ain't wanna sub. Messiah got killed and it was out of love. Stabbing your brother, we needed some love. Needed some love, we needed some love. Burger homes, yeah, we needed some love. Needed some love. One day we gon' see the sun. One day, yeah. Boy, time to wake up. Jacob, time to wake up. They be controlling the masses, the prophecies. Prophecy. Chasing the kingdom, we ain't chasing paper. Scooby-Doo, we done found out the mysteries. Tainting our picture, they tainted the history. You the chosen people coming from royalty. Follow commandments, we keeping the recipe. Nothing finna work if we break his laws. Time to get the evil out your heart. Had to make a choice, do I wanna live for the most high, forsake all of my ways, for sure I'm forsaken. Salvation, eternal life, man, I'm praying I make it. We breaking curses, we breaking the cages. Eating my meat while I'm flipping them pages. Land of the free, but this country gon' pay us. You in the trance, I hope that you make it. We need the Christ and the Savior, come save us. I can't forget how they did us, they slaved us. Whips on our back, they was praying we don't wake up. This ain't the land of the free, boy, they racist. Treat us like animals, lock us in cages. In my own home, they might just take your soul. Murder that started and killed by your own. Boy, they got you sleep, you ain't using your dome. Jerusalem, and it's time to go home. Jerusalem, and it's time to go home. This in my home, this in my land. Wake up, boy, it's time to wake up.
I hear the angels singing. I hear them singing light. I hear the angels singing. Yeah. I hear them singing light. Calculate your steps, be careful what you're doing, ayy. These angels taking notes, recording everything you say. Right there with you, yeah, they see you every time you pray. When you out and about, they watching how you behave. The Father gave them special orders, daily they report. When the sun go up, when the sun go down, they appear and perform. Do you really want your name in the book of life? You must rewire your mind and think Christ. For the homeless stand back and tell me, will you give your life? Will you give your last dime cause you feel it's right? Will you go and see the sick and physically touch them? Walk into a violent neighborhood and have a discussion. These are the works he sent us out to do. Nothing is hidden, said that we would know you by your fruit. Hey, they say the greatest trait they have is love. Go and give somebody a hug. Pick the spirit up now. I hear the angels singing. They be singing like. I hear the angels singing.
Yeah.
They be singing like.
After all the struggle, after all the pain, after how they spoke about me with so much disdain, talked about me like I wasn't even standing there, and they was right and I deserved it and I didn't care. Who'd have ever thought the Father make me a winner? Discipline nowadays can't even eat their dinner. A living sacrifice committed to the path of Christ, out here acting right so I could shine in the afterlife. Hey. For everyone that rise out that water, the angels sing and rejoice over his sons and daughters. He said he bring us from the bottom back up to the top. Now I look across the feast day at 1,000 odds. Not to mention all our women and our children. We about to face the east. Everybody in the building, and I know the heavens must be smiling down. Imagine if we got the throne, angels all around, singing.
They be singing like. I hear the angels singing. They be singing like. I hear the angels singing. Make the blind see and the lame walk. Heal those who will want to cast the demons out. He was the perfect example. He came to show us all what to do. Said be ye perfect, letting us know we can do it too. Get your house in order, family is so important. Strengthen your vessel, the enemy made a weapon for us. A silent killer, be careful because they aiming for us. The time we living in was prophesied, expect trouble. Operating the spirit, put on the whole armor. No worries, don't allow the spirit to feel to be on you. My heart go out to all the families that suffer losses. That's your brother, I mourn with you, my heart is soft. And those who never step into the light, dwell amongst the righteous up in paradise. Hey, may those who never step into the light, dwell amongst the righteous up in paradise. I hear them sing. They be singing like. I hear the angels singing. They be singing like. I hear the angels singing.
You'll be hearing me pronounce this African king's name as either Shabaku or Shabaka, as there are different spellings of his name throughout the sources, so please bear with me. To understand King Shabaka's reign, we must first understand the time he was living in. The Assyrians had recently conquered Samaria in 720 BC, and they were becoming a rather large threat to the Egyptian Delta region. One of the Egyptian rulers of the Delta, or the northern region at that time, was Asurkan IV of Tanis. He was compelled to send diplomatic gifts to Sargon II of Assyria, whose army was stationed just 120 miles away. This possible Assyrian threat was alarming to King Shabaka, and he decided to move his capital and royal residence from Napata in Kush to Memphis in Egypt. Shabaka was trying to further Kushite rule in Egypt and consolidate Kushite hegemony. He gained control over the former domain of Sais in the Delta region, and he was able to restore border security in the Sinai. Shabaka was an intelligent conqueror because he knew that forceful control of Egypt could not last. There were too many cultural, political, and religious elements that would interfere with total Kushite domination, as rebellions would be almost guaranteed. He avoided a bulk load of dissension and political fragmentation through a more diplomatic and religious process. The local dynasties of the Delta were not completely annihilated and simply acted under a centralized Kushite government. Shabaka's focus was seemingly elsewhere, as he dealt quickly and decisively with the Assyrian threat. For the time being, this threat was neutralized through Kushite diplomacy. For the time being, however, Shabaku's relationship with Assyria was friendly, thanks to the extradition in 712 BC of Ayamani of Ashdod. Ayamani revolted against Sargon II and sought to take refuge with Shabaku, but he was promptly delivered to the Assyrian ruler. Shabaka was a big part of the African Renaissance because he was one of its original contributors. An argument can be made that King Payanki was more involved in the conquering of Egypt, while Shabaka is the one who truly spearheaded the Renaissance. It's almost as if he wanted to do away with the Assyrian issue as quickly as possible, to do what he really wanted: the religious, political, and spiritual consolidation of Kushite rule. Consolidating his power, Shabaku found the resources which enabled him to resume temple building activity throughout Egypt, a royal duty that had been fatefully neglected during the troubled times of his Libyan predecessors. During the course of the 15 years of Shabaku's reign, Thebes was the scene of imposing temple restoration and building work mainly organized by newly appointed Kushite dignitaries such as Kelbiskin, mayor of Thebes and fourth prophet of Amun. According to Egyptologist Laszlo Torok, the changing of Shabaka's capital from Napata to Memphis initiated the second great period of the intellectual integration of Kush and Egypt. One of the most important preserved monuments of the 25th dynasty archaism dates from Shabaku's reign. The Memphite theology, disguised as a copy of a worm-eaten papyrus from the earliest times of the Egyptian kingdom, presented a monumental discourse on the creation of the world and on Memphis as the primeval hill, the original place of the creation and place of origin of pharaonic kingship. It represents a concentrated effort at religious renewal the restoration of the holiness of Egypt and her sacred places, and constitutes a part of an intellectual process which is also demonstrated by other monuments of the Kushite dynasty from Thebes and Nubia. This preserved document, apparently discovered by Shabaka, was a critical moment in the socio-cultural intellectualism of the Kushite Empire in the progressive birthing process of the African Renaissance. This deteriorated papyrus possessed a very ancient African theology that was recorded on a black basalt slab known as the Shabaka stone. The Shabaka stone preserves the only surviving copy of an important Egyptian religious text, usually referred to as the Memphite theology of creation. In the earliest tradition surviving from Egypt, the creation of the world was ascribed to the god Atum of Heliopolis. But the theology of Memphis sought to give a prior claim to Ptah, patron god of that city, by crediting him with the creation of the other gods and thereby, indirectly, with the creation of the world. On account of Shabaka's attempts to consolidate his rule, scholars aren't exactly sure as to whether or not the content of the Shabaka stone is genuine ancient history or an invention of Kushite propaganda. Despite the inconclusive nature, Shabaka's alleged contribution to a religious or spiritual discovery perhaps furthered his consolidation efforts, and certainly contributed greatly in the discourse of the intellectual spaces during the African Renaissance. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued development, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
My bad, families. Let's get it. Let's get it. So I hope that was deep right there. We finna get into some more, man. I can't play with you.
King Council, it's a banger. AJ on the keys.
Hey, King Angel Cartel is in the building. I see you, King. Come on, Yashara. We got you.
Every time I look around, yeah, it's always trying to save a little money, but I gotta give it up. It's just always something. I be tilting on a daily, just throw my hands up. Give it up, yeah. I can't give up. I damn near lost my mind. Can't take a break. Too many depending on me. I look around, yeah. Always something.
Let me tell y'all something. I was going through a lot of hell that I could shake the devil's hand. Unfortunately, I didn't have anyone to help me on my journey. I feel you, brother, when you can't say no money. Bills are like stick-up kids. When you get paid, they will tell you to give it up. Put your hands up. That is messed up, especially when you be in my position. Everything that I have, it goes to hospital bills, car note, insurance, etc. I really want to give it up, but when I feel down, I pray to Yahweh to lift me up.
Every time I look around, yeah, it's always trying to save a little money, but I gotta give it up. It's just always something. I be tilting on a daily, just throw my hands up. Give it up, yeah. I can't give up. I damn near lost my mind. Can't take a break. Too many depending on me. I look around, yeah. Always something.
It's always something, I'm thugging what to do with these hundreds. My bro wanna borrow money, my aunt wanna borrow money. They know I just had a baby, this crazy ego bluffing. But I just do the good deed with my heart because I love them. I went within, I'm surrounded by higher beings and angels. Discover elements they don't show on periodic tables. Don't get confused, these demons try to manipulate. Demons looking crooked, so allow me to demonstrate. Not a rapper, I'm a realist, connect with y'all forever. This music stuff is just a stepping stone to something better. I'm on fire on my playlist, it's Red Hot Chili Peppers. Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Every time I look around, yeah, it's always something. Trying to save a little money, but I gotta give it up. It's just always something. I be tuned in on a daily, just throw my hands up. Give it up, yeah. I can't give up. I damn near lost my mind. Can't take a break. Too many depending on me. I look around, yeah. Always something.
Counselor, this is a banger. AJ on the keys.
We got you.
Always, yeah. Always, yeah.
Hey, let's go, Yasharal. Okay, now, families, man. Now, history is a key thing in your heritage, your culture. This is how you is able to claim any inheritance that your ancient ancestors left behind for you, for all of us, families, no matter where you at. Let's go.
Wait a minute. Look at it. Have you eyes but...
Recognize the signs, Zion.
See not? Which will come in handy if you're looking at us two. See, this is our family crest, son, right here. And look at that crown. I am a king. There it is right there. I've been right all along. See, that's the crown, and right there, that's Ethiopia. That's where my family came from. And right here, see, that's the black and white hand intermingled. Whatever that means. And then here's a shield showing that we were great warriors.
With a Jewish star on it.
Yeah. I wonder what that means.
That means, Fred Sanford, if I know my Bible, and I know my Bible, you are a descendant of a king of the Jews. And if you're a king, you're also Jewish.
Jewish? Gee, that's funny. You don't look it.
I'm Jewish.
Do you hear that, Elizabeth? Elizabeth, honey, I'm Jewish. This is it. This is a big one. I'm coming to join you, honey. I'll be the one with the chicken soup. And the matzo ball. It's impossible. I can't be Jewish. How could it be?
That's what the scroll says, Fred.
Who ever heard of black Jews?
Dagger. Can't make it up, families. Make it make sense. Let's get another gem.
No, it's not wrong to be. It's not wrong.
Don't play with it.
That might be true. That might be the truth. Why? Lahain. I'm down for it. Shalom. You know what? Shalom. Lahain. Shalom. Shalom, Lahain, and all of that. Yeah, all of that. Child, my show. Shalom. Oh, yeah. Shalom. You feel me? Right. Okay. Feel me? Okay, can I do that shit too? Because I want to be there. Shalom, nigga. Like, there you go. There you go. See that? How about, let me, I could go somewhere else with that. That's deep. I mean, you're a black man in America. 9 times out of 10, everything that they've been trying to keep from you is the fact that you are Hebrew. Yeah. What did Hitler? Absolutely. What did Hitler tell NATO when they was asking him why he was giving them hell? Absolutely. He said they left here black and came back white. They will never have peace here. Absolutely. When they asked the president of Egypt a few years ago about the discord that they was having over there and what was going on, he quoted the same shit. They left here black and came back white. They will never have peace here. What exactly does that mean?
I mean, they keep trying to whitewash over shit within the Bible and all that. It's way deeper than that, but you know that I have to go into a lot to really dig that up, but you know what I mean.
Y'all even crazy for even, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes you gotta scratch the surface so people could.
My family tree.
Think it's a game, man. Like my brother Lamar put in the building, man. Classics, man. There be a lot of convos, man. They be happening in the barbershop. Count on that, King Fred. Just like Lamar said in the chat. Classics, man. Don't play with it. I got another jam. Let's get a music joint in. 2 of them.
Papa, you crazy for this one.
You gotta let them know you out here, families. You have to let them know you've been predestined, families. Battle axes and weapons of war. Let them know you exist out here, man. Let them know you are watchmen out here, man. You stand guard, families. You out there seeking, man.
I don't care if y'all feeling me. Yeah. The most high y'all words really speak to me. Yeah. Either metaphorically or literally. Yeah. We can't vibe if you only live physically. Yeah. Say away, I'll be draining my energy. Don't like to argue with messing my energy. I can't let all you wicked folk get to me. Living right, trying to live for infinity. Got a life, cause I just got a mini me. If she's worldly, we can't be if she's into me. If she's righteous, then that's just attending me. I had to clean my soul and do it clinically. Y'all is the #1 primacy. If you wicked, can't reach my vicinity. Read them curses, no outfit is fitting me. We get killed or locked up in facilities. I'ma show y'all with all my ability. We be judging and end it individually. I cut you even if you kin to me. Had to stop living wicked and sinfully. Y'all created this people so meanly. If they say die, I'll leave y'all, I'm like finish. I'm righteously lit so the wicked can't kill me. I got stabbed in the back, people swindling me. Had to cut away snake with the mud. Reeking righteousness, she let my odor. Popping scripts at the ops with no soda. Got that sack full of scripts with no coda. Shackles on our minds, we been facilitated. Threw away the old me, needed a replacement. Tryna make it even if I barely make it. Y'all gon' quake this place, he bout to Harlem shake it. I got this paint on me like a garment. We don't do badge, bigs, or a sergeant. Y'all had to wipe me clean with the shaman. I'm fully equipped, I got my mental sharpened. I'm drinking that railer like I work at Target. From slicing enemies and shooting at targets. You refuse the truth because your heart is hardened. Either swore my soul, but that day I won't bargain. I up the sword, when it's time to battle. I had to drop sin, I can't even dabble. Don't eat from the tree of life, just do one day right. You the tight that gon' bite from the apple. Don't mess with my people, curse them, and I promise I ride like a saddle in here.
Let's go.
I let them bullets fall like I'm a Seahawk as if it's Seattle in here.
Come on.
Ain't talking about genocide, I'm protecting my head to make sure that was clear. Don't let me go side to side or let me slip and slide, yeah, I need you to steer.
Let's go.
Make the service a yeah, a priority. Tryna live my life righteously and morally. I'm like a kid with a sweet tooth, the scriptures opened up and it's just like a candy store to me. Keep laws accordingly, speak the truth and be on one accord me. I give praise to the one living immortally. Spoke the truth, then people started reporting me. We can't kick it if you living immorally. I done drama since I did it urgently. I was injured, y'all put me through surgery. I've been just trying to stay afloat currently. Y'all adjust, so don't try to put perjury. I woke up to the Hebrew book. Yeah, with my friends and get different looks. If you see, you won't get out the hood. Yeah, we the nation y'all never forsook. I don't bother nobody, don't bother me. You can get hit with metallic. Y'all hate me dead in the head with the truth, something just like a mallet. The way I be speaking this true, a lot of people will call me Smart Alley. Tryna score me some souls to the kingdom, I might as well play for the Mavericks. I am a spiritual warrior, keeping my soul sharp and ready, cause this is survival. If you a spiritual whore, do away with the enemies, wicked deities and idols. Y'all gave me the life of a servant, I praise him, he delivered me from being suicidal. I don't cling to the New Testament because I'd rather just live out the truth in the Bible. Y'all can keep the cash, I want spiritual riches, tryna hit the lotto. Truth be getting spread into the masses like a hornady hollow. I be grabbing on spiritual food, put it straight up my mouth, chew and swallow. I get to spitting these scripts at the eyes, got it on fully auto. We've been through the most sorrow. He made a covenant and married us. If you ain't gon' stay committed, don't talk about a bridal. I don't cling to the New Testament because I just rather live by the truth in the Bible.
D-Major, baby.
Let your mind be in him, families. As our halakha Yahusha is in us.
Wearing the fruits of the spirit to the Passover. Got my armor on. Bring you my best offering, Lord. not forget the blood that he shed for us. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for all you done. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for sending your son. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for all you done. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for sending your son. Let's not forget the life that he gave for us. Let's not forget the blood that he shed for us.
Yasharal.
And how could I ever forget Galatians 5 and 4? Only all in my members was a sin I ignored. To the trials, tribulations I could only endure. By the love of the Spirit got me going to war. Without faith, never knowing what's coming before. Those things left behind as a word to do perform. Like eyes to the soul as a spiritual force. Apply fruits of the Spirit, Galatians 5 and 24. And I ain't know anything but only do more. Got me serving up my brother, he's a shepherd of the Lord. Fruits magnify the armor of a true war. And I ain't know about the Lord till I found out the source. It resides in terroir as he brings out the course. Do you know about that life now, of course? And according to his will and not my yours. And I didn't mind to be laying down the cord. I'd rather lay my life for the shepherd of the Lord.
Wearing the fruits of the Spirit to the Passover. Got my armor on. Bring you my best offering, Lord. None carnal. Let's not forget the life that he gave for us. Let's not forget the blood that he shed for us. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for all you done. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for sending your son. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for all you done. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for sending your son. Let's not forget the life that he gave for us. Let's not forget the blood that he shed for us. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for all you done. And I just wanna thank you. Thank you for sending your son.
So families, man, if he bring all things back to your remembrance, families, all he wants you to do is just remember, families. He never wants you to forget. So he sent your neighbors, families. They got the same mind, just like you. The exact same characteristic, families. They're the exact same likeness. And his abundance, families, is going to glow inside of you, families. And your light shall shine. And you shall be that star. Let's go, man. Now, families, as our economy continue to evolve, and what they like to say, go into a different dispensation. A different dispensation just means a different age, families. It's a different era, a different time, a different season. And whenever you have a different season, you got a reason for everything. But it's for his pleasure and his pleasure only. It's for his will and not ours. So families, you have to adapt and adjust. Survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive in the wilderness. Let's go, man.
Of gold in the past, and Africa was quite rich when it comes to natural resources. Africa still has a lot of gold today, but Africa is very poor. How did we get here? How did we get to that point? The only thing that has changed is our idea of money. We went from seeing gold, silver, diamonds as money to seeing paper and ink as money. And what does that mean for Africa? When gold is money, diamond is money, silver is money, it means that the value of the money is inside the money itself. So if someone wants to rob me, they have to come to me physically in order for them to rob me of my money. When money is ink and paper, and the value of the money is not inside the money itself, if someone wants to rob me, they don't need to come to me physically. If they want to rob me for $10, they just have to increase the price by $10, and therefore reducing the value of the money in my pocket by $10. That's what is happening now.
Oh, so families, That's why you got a scripture that sits there and says, for the love of money is the root of evil, family. It's telling you it's the origin of it, families. Because the mindset of those that you love or people that love you dearly, families, in their hearts, families, their mindset, families, of becoming successful in their lifetime. Families, they will make that the origin of their their being, of what they trying to become, families. And no, it's not nothing wrong trying to be successful. It's how you trying to be successful. The Most High sat there and says, you decrease so he can increase. That way that only him and him alone gets the glory. Let's continue.
We are all getting robbed. And that's why $5 can buy you 5 oranges today. In 10 years, $5 cannot even buy you 1 orange. That is robbery. Africa needs to go back to a place where the value of our money is in the money itself, like gold, diamond, silver. And once that happens, no one can rob us until they come to us physically. We Africans are extremely, extremely rich. But someone has convinced us not to
Pause. So,
see
families,
our wealth.
as the dispensation continues to continue, families, because that kingdom must come. It has to. Families, he's trying to tell you that he's trying to establish a government. That's his foundation. That rock that sits on it, families, will be ruling all nations with a rod of iron. And he will sit on King David's seat, man. This is dealing with rulership. Rulership. Them true streets of gold, families, is his walking in his righteousness. His path, families. You must remember, families, that your Elohim, your creator, your maker, your author and finisher of your faith, your Emunah, families, he's saying that his streets of gold, families, is us walking in his righteousness. And families, he shall direct your paths. That's what he mean about the streets of gold, metaphorically, families. Because, families, you will be walking on streets of gold. Because you is made of pure gold, man. You is his precious jewel. You belong to him. This stuff gets interesting if you know the system, its structure, the root of it. That's why Hamashiach sits there and says that I am the root of Jesse, the seed of Yahweh. Let's continue. He's trying to show you true wealth, a true inheritance that's very valuable, man.
As money. Someone has convinced us that we cannot make use of our wealth without exchanging it to paper and ink. We need to wake up. We need to create an African reality. We don't care what other people see as money. We decide what we see as money and what we use as money. Africa will never break the shackles. Africa will never come out of miserable poverty. Africa will never prosper without a financial revolution.
Let's go, families. So as people culture is continue to expand, as long as we have breath to breathe, or breath in your lungs, Zion, then families, the Most High is going to give you instructions. These instructions will be your manuscript. That families, that is written down for you to go over. Families, it's the exact same written instructions that you go by if you applying for a job, or if you're trying to set up something like a home entertainment, or oil change, or changing a tire, or anything, upgrading some software. You need to read
the instructions. That's all he trying to make us do, Zion. But families, you got some people, they're going to be weary in that. That's cool. That's why he sent you to get them stronger, man. Pull up your groins, families. He's telling you to be hard out here. Be soft as a, what's the word? I'm not going to mess it up, families, because I want to say the right quote. You know what I'm saying? But he tells you to be smarter than a viper. You know what I'm saying? You have to have these type of senses. So that's what I be trying to understand. I want to be around people that's willing to take orders, and they cool with it. They ain't tripping. Death before dishonor. They showing loyalty, y'all. That's what our people is having a lack on right now. Loyalty, man. That's the true respect. The Most High said that says that real love is a brother that would lay down his life for you. Now that's honor, man. That's honor. Families, you got some cats that's young, man. These young breeds, these young bloods, man. Families, they dying for nothing, man. They ain't even dying for a cause. At least back in the 90s and the 70s, the 80s and the 60s, the 50s. Man, at least we would dying for a cause, a purpose, man. Man, something that was segregation didn't happen until like the 80s, maybe the 70s. So like, it's about adapting and adjusting to your environment. That's what it's about. Harmless as a dove and wise as a serpent. Thank you, King. My brother Will.I.am. I love you, Aki. Thank you, King. So we have to be harmless as a dove. I knew I didn't want to mess it up though, big bro. That's why I was like, nah, I'm going to pause on that because I don't want to mess up that quote, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what he mean about every time that you speak. There's a scripture for it, families. You shall speak as the oracles of Yah, and he shall put thy words in your mouth. And families, whatever you say, even if you paraphrasing it, there's a scripture for it, man. You is speaking as the oracles of him. That means you speaking with volume, y'all. Your vocabulary is out there. And we out here, man. We really, really are. So families, man, I got some more gems. I got some gems. Families, we got to go over the exposure of this serpent seed doctrine. Families, this thing is not no 1,000-year-old doctrine, man. It just came out. Like literally. Like real talk. And families, when you hear people talk about the sex in the garden and what was going on, and maybe Adam might have had sex with the serpent too, then families, that for number one, do you see what's going on? Not only is it causing confusion, but families, you making something that is not written in your Bible, not even in the missing books, man. So the question is, where did you get this doctrine? That's the question. Let's continue. But it be new to most people. So you think it's intriguing. Families, all knowledge ain't good knowledge. Hey, you good, Yahuah? As long as we know you still in the building, King. Let's get it, man. We out here. Let's go.
Creole people. Creole people are ethnic groups which originated during the colonial era from racial mixing mainly between West Africans as well as some other people born in the colonies, such as Europeans and sometimes South Asian and Native American peoples. This process is known as creolization. Etymology and overview.
The English word Creole derives from the French Creole, which in turn came from Portuguese Criollo, a diminutive of cria, meaning a person raised in one house. Cria is derived from cria, meaning to raise or bring up, itself derived from the Latin cri, meaning to make, bring forth, produce, begat, also the source of the English word create. It originally referred to the descendants of European colonists who had been born in the colony. The Criollos were the children of the Lanceros. The Lanceros, literally the thrown out ones, were settlers and adventurers of Portuguese origin in Senegambia.
Pause. Hey, what a shalom and many much blessings to an elder that just popped in the building, King Eric. Cook what you got, and if you ain't got it, you can't cook it. So drink you a glass of water and go to bed. That's my brother right there, families. His channel is based upon foods, families. And families, he will as well, families, will sit back, chill with you, and just speak to you, man. See how your life going, tell you that he love you, want to know what you got going on. And families, he names every one of his plates, any of his delicious dishes, families, after in all his brothers and sisters that he loved dearly, man. He go out there and he show love, man, and he truly spreads it, man, in a very unique and special way, man. That's an elder right there in the body of Christ, family. That brother right there, if you don't think he ain't got Jesus in him, bro, y'all don't know King Eric. Go check out King Eric, man. Cook what you got, Brown, man. Man, we love you, big bro. Much love and respect to you and your whole family. May the Most High Yah always hold you, guide you, bless you, keep you, and bless you always, bro. All praises, all praises. Good to see you, King. Salute and much respect. Families, give your brothers and sisters they roses while they here, man. While they here, y'all. And that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing that you was able to, in that moment, in that time, in that season, you was able to spread something that is very valuable. But it's priceless, man. It's absolutely free. All the next brother got to do, and sister, all they got to do is just receive it. What's freely given is truly received. With that being said, families, you have to understand culture. A culture is a beautiful thing because it's filled with promises, families, that will never be broken. Sometimes, families, we make statements, families, and we can't that sometimes. We're like, you know what? Maybe I was a little too bold. Maybe I shouldn't said all that. But when I grew up, the way that I grew up, because I'm an 80s baby. So best believe my mama and daddy was born in the 60s. So families, the way that I was grew up, mean what you say and say what you mean. Period. That's it. That's all. If you hurt somebody's feelings, I'm going to pray for you. It wasn't my intentions. I'm just doing it with love. But I'm not going to blast you. It's how you do it. It's how you do it. So families, once people know that a culture is very unique, then the other person will be able to embrace something that never belonged to them. But they can be able to see it. They can be a witness to it. That way they can put their feet in the next person's shoes, see where they coming from. You feel me? Let's continue.
The Cape Verde Islands and other areas of the West Africa. Many were Jews escaping persecution from the Portuguese Inquisition.
Hallelujah.
They were the progenitors of the Criollo language and culture.
Hallelujah. Now, families, what I'm trying to show y'all, families, is to show you, families, that in every dispensation, in every age, families, just like you had a dark age, then you had the ice age, you had a stone age, you had a iron age. Now you was in the age of what? Technology, the age of AI, artificial intelligence. You was in what they call the fifth age, my brothers and sisters. The fifth. You need to understand these generations that the Most High put in your Bible, man. When he said that he created the host of the heavens. When he says the generations of the heavens and the earth, he's saying that he's the host of that, man. And he's doing it with an S. That's many, man. That's plural, y'all. So you have to add that or multiply that. You have to understand numbers, man. You have to understand his ways. That's what he mean about walking on streets of gold. So Yahuwah, man, I pray that the Most High, man, continue to increase you fully in his righteousness. And bro, you stay in full obedience in that. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. Stay in full obedience. Make your body a living sacrifice daily. And you got other brothers and sisters, man, that's going to ride out with you, bro. We out here, man. We just scattered, y'all. So we got to be bold in this. Just like it says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, that you shall be a soldier for Christ. You shall endure hardness. You got to have tough skin out here, man. Let's continue.
The Lanzados were known as the thrown out ones because they fled the Portuguese.
King Eric, con on that, big bro. That's one of the elders out there. Stay prayed up, families. That's what he mean about pray without ceasing. Families, he sit there and says, families, that you're supposed to meditate on his word day and night. When you meditate on his word day and night, ain't that a daily thing? There's 24 hours in the day, correct? And families, that's something easy to do. That's what he mean about going in your to that high mountain. Every time Christ went to a high mountain, especially if you never climbed a mountain, when you go to the top of that thing, it's peaceful, man. You don't hear nothing. It's just you and your Most High. Alone, man. That's real meditation. So he's saying your high mountain, metaphorically, will be your mind. You will have to come in full peace in your mindset. Reconstruct that thing. Have some type of instructions in your mindset that's ordering you to do something. There's nothing wrong with taking orders. That's a true leader, man. You have to follow before you can lead. You got to crawl before you can walk. You got to do things decently and in order. Some people want to fast forward things. No, the Most High said all you got to do is just press play and let it play out.
Acquisition to Senegambia and the Cape Verde Islands and other areas of West Africa. Their children were known as Criollos because they was born and raised in the Portuguese colonies in Senegambia, Cape Verde Islands, and other areas of West Africa.
So as the world that they knew it at that point in time, especially when you're talking about the captivities, when you had the Egyptian captivity, and then you had the Assyrian captivity, then you had the Babylonian captivity, and then you had the Roman captivity. You know what I'm saying? When you had these different captivities, these people had to be disciplined. They had to have a certain type of duties to make them obey to do something, especially if they got scattered. So the videos that I'm showing you is that there are people that's in your own household that will backstab you, man. That is Matthew chapter 10. And if you don't believe me, Christ is the one that's going to do the variance. He the one that's going to separate the household. Let's go to it. Matthew chapter 10. To show you that obedience is truly better than sacrifice. You have to have some type of instructions to know what your duties are. Other than that, you making up your own rules. So that means if you making up your own rules, you can break them. Rules are meant to be broken if you making them up, right? Matthew chapter 10. My bad. It's Matthew chapter 10. So I'm trying to show you that when you do a precept just means a command. Somebody is ordering you to do something. So who's ordering us to do something in our life daily is our chief and commander, our general, our kings of kings and lords of lords. If you is a follower of the way and a believer in that body, then you ain't got no choice telling the next person you follow orders, man. You don't have a problem saying that without a shadow of a doubt. And you're going to hold your head up high. You're going to cry out loud, man. Check this out. So if you didn't know about Matthew chapter 10, that Christ is going to bring that separation in the New Testament, the new covenant, then I don't know what type of kingdom you think is coming on this earth. And we're going to start in verse 24. The dagger is verse 35. Let's start at verse 24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his alua, his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master. That means that, families, you will sometimes in your life, families, you will be just like who trained you. You don't have no problem saying that you is very skilled in a certain craft. You have a master, and you shall become just like your master. Verse 35 again. It is enough for the disciple to be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. They have called the master of the house of Beelzebub. How much more shall they call them of his household? Now they finna tell you that it ain't gonna be no people from Germany. It ain't finna be no people from Russia. It ain't finna be no people from Afghanistan or over there in Pakistan. No, man, it's gonna be some cats, man, right down the block from you. It's gonna be people that's in your bedroom. It's gonna be your son and your daughter that's in the bathroom, man. It's gonna be your older son, man, that's in the garage, always doing something, always getting in trouble. Watch. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed. That means that it's gonna get exposed one day. So whatever skeletons you got hidden in your closet, whatever dirt that you done put up under your rug, whatever clothes you done shoved up under your bed, yeah, he finna expose all them dark secrets. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid, they shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light. And what ye hear in an ear, you're going to hear this. So you will have a warning before your own destruction if you don't have no instructions. Period. If you don't know this, then you need to be seasoned in that. You need to be trained in this. You have to be skilled, because if you don't, you is lost, man. So what Hamashiach said there and says that he will lead the 99 and go after the one if it's lost. I come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's coming for that one that is lost. So it's nothing wrong if you going off sometimes. You just got to hold yourself accountable and admit your wrongs. Be a man. And me at my age, finna ready to hit 40, maturity got to come in sometimes. You have to change your mindset in order to become who you always been. You was predestined to be just like your master.
which is Jesus the Christ of Nazareth. He said and says that in the last days, many gonna come in my name. He didn't say they gonna come saying they Jesus. He said they gonna come saying they is the Christ. They are the anointed one. So you have to be trained to have well discernment on what's real and what's not. It's gonna be people in your household. So then he sat there and says, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them should not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore. Ye are more valued than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in the Shemaims. So he's telling you that sometimes you will fall off. He tells you there will be people that will backslide sometimes. You being a brother and a sister with love, you is willing to help a brother and sister out if they backslide sometimes, man. You want to make sure they don't have a reprobated mind. You know what I'm saying? A reprobated mind, a destroyed, a terrible mind is wait a minute. It says your mind is a terrible thing to waste. So you ain't trying to do that, families. Don't let your mind be a terrible thing to waste. That's destruction, man. But you got brothers and sisters with love that is willing to help you out in certain things. In certain things that you lacking on. And there's nothing wrong saying you lack in certain areas. Whatever don't kill you will make you stronger, man. And there's nothing wrong not knowing. You gotta have that urge, that fire to know. You know what I mean? You feel me? So that's what I be trying to do. I want to let people, my brothers and sisters, know I got that fire in me, man. That desire to know. But I got to understand that there will be people that will bring a certain obstacle in my life. And I'll have to know how to bob and weave in that. Them are tribulations, y'all. The question is, what choice did I make? How was I able to handle it? What was my attitude? What type of energy did I bring? Did I solve the problem? Or was I destroyed by it? Come on, Yahuah. 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, bro. Come on, we got to go to that. But let's finish this off. We got to go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 7. Let's put in them daggers, y'all. The scriptures will give you instructions of how you supposed to move, man. Only your creator, your maker, is moving the pieces on this chessboard. The question is, where did he place you at? Let's go. Verse 33. Remember, our dagger is verse 35. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Abba, which is in the Shemaims, the heaven. Think not that I come to send shalom on earth. I come not to send shalom, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance. He's saying a difference, man. He's saying a separation against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household. So now he's going to tell you what type of choices are you going to make in your own household. So he's letting you know that in your household, since you make up your own rules, let's see if you obey these rules. Verse 37 is a rule. This is a command. Are you able to obey it? He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. So he's telling you that if you love your earthly mother and your earthly father more than your creator, who created your earthly mother and your earthly father, then he's saying that you don't have no honor in him. You is not worthy of him. Let's continue. And he that love his son and daughter, your seed, which is your babies. So if you love your son and your daughter more than him, you're not even worthy. You don't have no honor of him. And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He is clearly giving you some instructions, man. Clearly. Let's go to the next gem. It ain't gonna be no people from another country, man. When that government system combines themselves together, families, and go against Israel, families, they is trying to come after Hamashiach that's coming from the skies, man. And he gonna have his heavenly army right behind him. That's what they trying to prepare for. So they trying to confuse your minds on some simple stuff, families, because what's the whole point sending peasants in a battle of nothing but trained soldiers, farmers, in the middle of battle with skilled soldiers? You got farmers out there, peasants, in the middle of war. They ain't even skilled, man. They ain't even trained. Can't make this up, y'all. Can't make this up. Let's go to the Serpent Seed doctrine.
The waters on this one. Let me take y'all deep in the waters on this one. Give me a second, guys. There we go. All right, here we go. So, everybody going around saying that Cain is the actual seed of the serpent, you're getting it from a book that was written like well over 70 years ago that's called Cain, the Seed of the Serpent. And in that book, the author definitely says that Cain is the physical seed of the serpent. The only problem is the source of the author's material didn't actually say that. So all of y'all that are saying that, you're saying it because the person you got it from grossly misinterpreted the source of the teaching. This is why you have to investigate a matter to its fullest extent before you give commentary on it. Here we go. This is the source text for the idea that Cain is the seed of the serpent. This is the source text for the idea that Cain is the seed of the serpent. This is called the Zohar. This is called the Zohar. All right? Now let me take you to the page in the Zohar that goes into it. Guys, hit that like button. We can't even continue, guys. This is the information y'all about to get is heavy. We can't even continue till everybody hit the like button, y'all. Come on, man. If you in here hating, just go to sleep. If you in here hating, just log off and go to sleep. But if you came here for the information, guys, smash that like button. And also don't forget to hit that PayPal and that Cash App. Support the platform. Literally been doing this all day and all week, y'all. Show your love. I'm definitely showing you my love. So show your love, guys. Hulk smash that like button, family, so we can get this lecture on and popping. Because where I'm going to take you next is heavy. Come on, y'all. Come on. Hulk smash that like button, y'all, so we can go forward with this lecture. Hulk smash that like button, family, so we can go forward with this lecture. Almost 150 people in the room, y'all. Don't forget, hit the like button, family. So here we go. We are in the Zohar, and we are looking at Bereshit, Book 1, 54a. Bereshit, Book 1, 54a. Hope you guys appreciate this, because y'all know for damn sure ain't no Israelites out here doing this. Once again, I'm giving you an exclusive. Ain't no Israelite out here, period, doing this. Once again, I'm giving you an exclusive. So show your love, guys, because y'all know for damn sure ain't nobody doing this in the community. So show your love. Here we go. Book 1 of the Zohar, Bereshit 54a. And the man knew Eve, his wife. That's Adam. Rabbi Abba discoursed in connection with this verse in the text. Who knoweth the spirit of man which goeth upwards, and the spirit of the beast which comes down? Matter of fact, for this one, y'all, I'm going to make myself smaller, and I'm going to make this bigger, just to make sure y'all can read with me. We're not playing. We are not playing. Here we go. We're going to bring that back. We're going to bring that back. Is that better? Is that better? If this is better, type of 1 in the chat room. If this is better, type of 1 in the chat room. Come on, y'all. The quicker y'all go, the quicker we get through this. If everybody can see this clearer, type of 1. We show our work in my classes. I don't just say things and then, pull out magic tricks. We show our work. We want you to see that what we're saying is true. So watch this. And the man knew Eve, his wife. Rabbi Abba discoursed in connection with this verse in the text. Who knoweth the spirit of man which goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast which goeth downward to the earth? He said, this verse can bear many constructions, and so it is with all the words of Torah. They can all bear several meanings, and all good. And the whole Torah can be expounded in 70 ways.
Oh, so he's saying that the whole Torah can be expounded in 70 ways, as well explaining about 70 AD, the destruction of the temple, as well talking about the 70 nations that you read in Genesis chapter 10 and continuing. So families, man, it has a significant value. It really, really does. And this is deep. Because if you got 70 different nations, families, that means there's 70 different type of interpretations and understanding of what they believe in that happened in that garden, man. Of what they believe in. The question is, what do you believe in? And it's just like what King Yahuwah put in. Many are called, man, but only few are chosen. Are you going to show up to that interview, man, when your visitation date comes, man? When your orientation comes? Or when somebody call you and you know they calling you and you see that red and that green? Are you going to press decline? Or are you going to hit accept? Or are you going to put them on voicemail, man? What is it going to be? Zion went in on this, man. A lot of people believe in this doctrine, man. And you don't even read it in your Bible. It don't even talk about that in the missing books of the Apocrypha, man. So the question is, where did they get this from? Where did they get this idea from? And they let it manifest in their mind. And then they were bold enough and had the audacity to spread it out to everybody that had an ear to hear. Let's continue.
corresponding to the 70 sides and 70 wings. In the Kabbalah class, we expound on what that is. We will, however, expound thus. When a man, listen to this part very carefully, y'all, because this is where it gets heavy. When a man walks in the path of truth, he goes towards the right and attracts to himself a Holy Spirit from above, which in turn ascends with holy intent to attach itself to the upper world and to cleave to the supernal holiness. When, however, a man walks in the path of evil, he draws to himself an unclean spirit belonging to the left side, which renders him impure. So it is written, you shall not make yourselves unclean with them, that ye shall be defiled thereby. I.e., he that first defiles himself is led further into defilement. Further, when a man walks in the right path and attracts to himself a spirit of holiness from above and cleaves unto it, he also draws a spirit of holiness, here we go, onto the Son whom he bears into the world, so that he is...
Pause. So now what Zion Lex is finna girl to bring out, that if anybody thought that the serpent had sex with Eve in the garden, man, he's talking about you shall walk. That means this is dealing with knowledge. He's talking about information, man. She heard something, and then whatever that she heard, she ate it. It was pleasing to her, and she thought it was the truth, and she gave it to her rib, or the rib that she came from. She gave it to Adam, and it was pleasing to him because he listened to what came from him. It's dealing with information. It's dealing with knowledge. All knowledge is not good knowledge. So whatever knowledge you intake and you believe in it, this is where the Most High talks about walking on the streets of gold. He's talking about his righteousness. So whatever knowledge you is getting, will it defile you? Or will you be walking in his righteousness, in his path, like streets of gold? Let's continue. You can't make it make sense. You got to make it make sense, Zion.
Like to be endowed with the sanctity of his master on high, as it is written, if ye sanctify yourselves, ye shall be holy. Contrawise, when the man goes to the left and draws to himself the impure spirit and clings to it, he also draws a spirit of uncleanness on the Son that issues from him, so that he is like to be defiled by the impurity of the left side. This is what is meant by the words, who knows the spirit of the sons of men, namely that one which ascends on high. When a man cleaves to the right, the spirit amounts aloft. But when he cleaves to the left, the side of the left, which is the side of uncleanness, descends from above and fixes its abode in a man's body. Listen to this part very carefully. And the Son whom he begets in that state of impurity is from that unclean spirit. Now, Adam clave to that unclean spirit, and his wife clung to it and first received and defiled from it. Hence, when Adam begat a son, that was the son of the impure spirit. Thus there were two sons, one from the unclean spirit and one from the holy and righteous spirit. Y'all better light this goddamn chat room up with some fire emojis, goddammit. Light this chat room up with some fire emojis, because while y'all beat the war drum so hard against learning the oral tradition, it is empowering you with so much understanding of the scriptures that you don't get nowhere in the scriptures. The Bible doesn't go into detail like this. This is why I laugh when people tell me that they don't study the oral tradition, because guess what I say? More knowledge for me.
Pause. Yeah, I think you and Zion Lex, y'all the same age. Young Chimney, young Chimney Zadok, brother Zadok, I be up under. I think he's like 47, 48. I be up under a lot of more rays, man. Sister E, that sister right there, like 43, 44. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm only 39. You know what I'm saying? So 40s right there. But families, y'all looking good in y'all 40s, man. Y'all looking like y'all in y'all 30s. Some of y'all look like y'all in y'all late 20s, man. And y'all be like 45, 44, 46. Looking good in your 40s, man. You got to give all praise to the Most High on that, man. That means your genetic makeup is very unique. Thick blood, man. Pure blood, man. That DNA right there is pure, man. So you got to give all praise to the Most High on that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with saying that. Put a stamp on that. Best believe I am. Think it's a game and it ain't. Don't play with it. So families, man, Zion is going in right now. This is one of my good more raised families. And families, he love that smoke, man. He love that smoke. Families, man, you have to make it make sense. Make it lined up with the biblical scriptures, families. And especially if you can't see it in that or the missing Bibles, the missing books of the Bible. Where did they get this from? And who told it to them? And they had the audacity to give it to another. Let's continue.
More appearances for me. Because guess what? When I open my mouth and I speak on Torah, as you guys can see, it's always going to be different when the others speak, because I'm way more informed than the others, because I'm not limiting myself in my studies. I'm reading and studying it all. So watch this. Our oral tradition is teaching us not that the snake went into Eve, and that's how Eve came out with Cain. Our oral tradition is giving us high spiritual science. Listen carefully, Israelites and black people, because this is powerful and all of humanity. Our oral tradition is teaching us when you are trapped in a state of sin, when you are entertaining sin, when you are full of sin, any children that you have, that you produce while in a state of sin, those children will be tainted by the left side, or what we call in Aramaic, the sutra aqua, the other side, which is descriptive of evil. The Zohar says, when you're wicked and you attach yourself to wickedness, like remember guys, shortly after the fall of man in the garden, directly after, what is the next thing the Bible says? And Adam knew his wife, and they begot Cain and Abel. Did Adam repent yet? Or was Adam still in sin? This was right after the fall of man. So Adam and Eve were still in sin. So any children that they produce, the spirit, remember guys, what makes you who you are, your life source, the thing that makes you who you are is your life force, your soul. That soul in our tradition comes down from on high. But our oral tradition teaches us, if you are wicked, what you think? God sends you a pure spirit from above? No. Like attracts like. You're going to get who you are. So if you have children while in a state of pure sin, the soul that draws down into this world, that goes into that child's body, will be from the other side. So whoever wrote the book Cain, the seed of the serpent, you misunderstood what the Zohar is saying, as y'all about to see in the next slide, because I'm not done yet. We're going to read some more. Because what the Zohar says is not that Eve had sex with a snake. That's impossible. And everybody out there should slap themselves on both sides of their face, because you know that you can't do that. It's unscientific. But what the Zohar did correctly say is that because Adam and Eve were both in a deep state of spiritual sin, the soul that came down from on high represented the Sutra Akra, the other side, evil, hence Nachash. And it's in that context that the Zohar calls Cain the seed of Nakash. Not that Nakash slept with Eve, but when two human beings are tainted with sin, the soul that draws down from on high will be from the other side. Y'all better like this chat room, my boy. This ain't Sunday school. This ain't Sunday school. I ain't Pastor Porkchop, nor am I most of y'all teachers. Here we go. Let me take you to the next page. Zohar, book 1.
Check this out, families. Check this out, Yasharal. Check this out.
54a through 54b. After Adam repented.
So what most people have been doing, families, is that they've been taking bits and pieces from this type of doctrine right here, and then they will try to line it up. They try to line it up with the biblical scriptures, but the biblical scriptures will it almost diffuse, or it diffutes everything that is being said in this doctrine, man. They ain't there. They ain't there almost everything. And it's trying to tell you about these unclean spirits that's coming to be a lying tongue to these people, man. These people has a defiled spirit. That's what it's trying to explain to you, in a sense. It ain't no sex in a garden type of thing, man. It's the type of knowledge that you ain't taking from an unclean spirit. And it done dwelt inside you. It done manifested inside your mindset. And it needs you to perform actions to do of its pleasing. Don't nobody know how many demons that was cast down with Hasatan. One thing that we do know, and God said it himself, our Yahuah Yahudah. He said Hasatan took half of the Malachims, man. He took half of the angels with him, man. That's a lot of demons, y'all. You don't know how many undefiled, unclean spirits is out here, man. All these people with different personalities, different ruachs, man. These people got different thoughts and mindsets, y'all. Their lightness is not similar or familiar to you. One thing that you do know, it feels different. It feels different. You getting a bad energy from it. You ain't vibing with it. And it's unclean, man. Very undefiled. So you have to have these type of understandings. Some certain people is getting bits and pieces out of all these theological scholars, man. And they try to put it where it don't belong. You got to be careful with that, because you might believe in something that you ain't supposed to.
Thus, one was from the pure side and one was from the impure side. So, Abel was from the pure side. Cain was from the impure side. But not that the snake had sex with Eve. Damn, y'all. Come on. You ever failed at doing something and your mama look at you and say, we gotta do better. We gotta do better, baby. You know you could do better than this. That's how we look, saying Cain is the physical seed of the serpent. Imagine your mama or grandmama looking at you when you said or did something silly or stupid. Come on, baby. We gotta do better than this, baby. You could do better than this, baby. Watch this. It says, Rabbi Elazar said, when the serpent injected his impurity into Eve, and this is why, we're going to pause right here. This statement is why everybody went out and wrote books saying that the serpent actually had sex with Eve. Because they read what Rabbi Elazar is about to say and misconstrued the whole meaning of the full context of what's said. So what they're doing is what y'all already call cherry picking. So watch this. Rabbi Elazar said, when the serpent injected his impurity into Eve, she absorbed it. Listen to this. So when Adam had intercourse with her, she bore 2 sons, one from the impure side and one from the side of Adam. And Abel bore a resemblance to the higher form, and Cain to the lower. Hence, it was that their ways in life were different. It was natural, too, that Cain, coming from the side of the angel of the death, would go on to kill and murder his brother. Because look at the side that he came from. He also adhered to his own side, and from which originate all the evil habitations and demons and evil spirits of the world. To which Rabbi Yos says, Cain was the nest of all the evil in the world from the impure side. This is heavy, heavy information. Because what we're now drawing upon and also adding here, is that Cain's name in Hebrew doesn't just mean to acquire, because Cain in Hebrew is also a nest. So the Zohar says the deeper meaning behind Cain's name is not actually what Eve said. I have acquired a child with the help of the Lord. No, the Zohar says that the deeper meaning of Cain's name, Cain in Hebrew, is that he is a nest or habitation for all of the evil of the world. And therefore him and all of his descendants will be a nest and a habitation and a transmitter of all the evil that comes into the world through mankind. Very, very powerful teaching, guys. But without knowing the source of the teaching, you're going to say that Eve had sex with a snake. And that's where you're going to look like you need psychiatric evaluation. You're going to look like you need a psychiatric evaluation talking about Eve and the serpent had sexual intercourse, and that's how Cain got here. No, guys. We got to do better. We got to do better. And on top of that, y'all, this is proof enough that y'all need to acquire a teacher that can show you the oral tradition. Because y'all don't even understand how many profound truths you are completely losing out on because you said, the Jewish man wrote that, so I ain't following that. You sound crazy. You don't even study chronology. You could take a Torah class with me and see that what you're saying don't make no damn sense. No damn sense whatsoever. Powerful, 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 powerful information, guys. Powerful, 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 powerful information, guys. Let me unpack the last part, because I see people still might not get it. The Zohar's descriptive language in Rabbi Eleazar said, when the serpent injected his impurity into Eve, she absorbed it. The Zohar is not talking about sperm going into Eve. The Zohar is talking about Eve entertaining the dialogue of the serpent and how much that had an effect on her psyche and her soul. And this is why we so silly, because we don't understand that most of the Bible and its stories are told via allegory. So we get confused by a lot of the literalisms in the story without getting the common sense from the story. Because even after saying all that, somebody in the comment section just now really typed, injected impurity? Bruh, did you miss the whole damn lecture I just said? So that you can get the full context? So you gonna go write a book now, Cain, the seed of the serpent? So y'all see how easy this happens? People don't hone in on full context, cherry pick, and then think that they know something. But when understood in its full context, the Zohar, the oral tradition, is dropping a very heavy and profound truth right on the top of our heads. And it is telling us all right, man. All right. Sorry, y'all. But I can't have you infect the rest of us with what you're saying. Reptilians are real. I'm sorry. I'm going to block you for that comment. And I'm not even playing. Like, I'm going to actually block you just for saying that reptilians are real. Because I don't want you to infect the rest of us with that insanity. So you blocked. And that's how we stop the virus of ignorance in the community. You was blocked. Reptilians is real. After all that science I just dropped, that the oral tradition is telling us that when you conceive a child while in a state of impurity, the soul that is drawn down will be spiritually tainted, meaning that that child will be more prone to doing evil. And all you got out of this is reptilians are real, bro. With that being said, Israel, I'm going to sign off here. Y'all have a great night. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Make sure.
Told you it gets deep. I got some more, man. I'm not done, Zion. I'm not done, man. I got some more families. But let's get a music joint in. Let's get a music joint. Let's not play with it.
We the people. We the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. We the people. Read about us in the scripture. They describe us to a T. Oh, we the people. We the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. Cause we the people. Read about us in the scripture. They describe us to a T. Oh, we the people that Moses led out of Egypt. That God chose to be regal. That's why he didn't make us equal. Hypocritical people with spiritual mind states, devising nothing but evil. That's what you call reprobate. The same people kill Jesus, the one that was sent to save. We peculiar and we genuine royalty DNA. Hold up, wait, give me a minute, let me finish. Man, I got something to say. All facts, no opinion. Don't mistake my love for hate. Martin Luther knew we was the people. We the people. Malcolm X knew we was the people. We the people. Brandon Jackson know just who we are. And a couple of other stars like Kendrick Lamar. But we only know in part. We just waiting for the sequel. We just waiting on Messiah to bring us into the kingdom. Till then I'm going fishing, reeling in all of Israel. Satan that cast his net of lies. Don't let them get you, cuz we the people. We the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. We the people. Read about us in the scripture. They describe us to a T. Oh, we the people. We the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. Cause we the people. Read about us in the scripture. They describe us to a T. Oh,
Romans 9:25-26. And he said also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. Verse 26. And it shall come to pass, that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living power. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, King Yahuah, we got you.
Christ strong with the people,
let's go, King.
abode with the people. He died for the people and arose for the people, coming back for his people with a vengeance, cause he mad. The last will be first.
the first would be last. We got all the sauce, we got all the class, we got all the talent, yeah, we got all the swag. They wanna beat us bad, so they rig the game. They wanna see us crash, so they impede the lane. They call us everything, except the people. Black, Mexicans, Haitians, Jamaicans, and Puerto Ricans. They even got us believing we heathen and Gentiles, telling us we from Africa's and descendants of Ham. Damn, they got Am Brown. They beat us to the ground, but we the one that bowed down and gave up our crown. So we can't point the finger or play the blame game. It ain't a question either, cause we the people, man. We the people, we the people, we the people, we the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. We the people, we the people, we the people. Read about us in the scripture, they describe us to a T. Oh, we the people, we the people, we the people, we the children of the Bible. Don't let nobody deceive you, bruh. Cause we the people, we the people, we the people. Read about us in the scripture, they describe us to a T. Oh, it's gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, we gonna be alright, we gonna be alright. Long as we alright, long as we alright, we gon' walk in the light.
Hey, let's get it, families. Let's go, man. You know, your brother be trying to interact with y'all, man. Let's get it, man.
I have a dream.
Pause. Now, family, need leaders that wasn't able to redeem you. That's why he sat there and says that you must be still and you must wait on that one and true Redeemer with a capital R. And then he says that he's going to come for Zion with a capital Z. So just like my brother Yahuah sat there and says that you must come with a sound and a pure mind. And families, blow your trumpet. That way you can restore the nations so they can gather themselves again. And then we're going to prepare, families. The question is, what you preparing for? You preparing for the kingdom to come, man. So family, we must build in this hour. But you had people that have dreams, man. And he said that the old will have dreams and visions, and the young shall prophesy. Let's go.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation. I'm not going to say that all of our problems will be solved if the war in Vietnam is ended, but I do say that the war makes it infinitely more difficult to deal with these problems. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. There is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction, and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rate.
So, Brother King, this elder family clearly sat there and says that when he was doing his soul searching, he realized that in this war, he realized what side of the fence he was on, families. He understood about what war he was truly in. And in this spiritual war, families, that's why I read you Matthew chapter 10. Think not that I come to bring peace, but a sword. I come to bring variance to the father and the son, the mother and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, the father-in-law against his son-in-law. He's come to bring a variance in that, a difference, man, a separation. And only he is going to choose about who they say they are. Who is who, basically. So families, every action requires a reaction. Period. What goes around will come around.
So to speak. It didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something. I feel that nonviolence is really the only way that we can follow, because violence is just so self-defeating. A riot ends up creating many more problems for the Negro community than it solves. You can, through violence, burn down a building, but you can't establish justice. You can murder a murderer, but you can't murder murder through violence. You can murder a hater, but you can't murder hate. And what we are trying to get rid of is hate and injustice and all of these other things that continue the long night of man's inhumanity to man.
When we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Let's go. Let's go.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Two schools are being accused of banning books after one in Washington state pulled To Kill a Mockingbird off their required reading list after complaints from students and parents, including a former black student who said it made her uncomfortable, and a Tennessee school pulled the graphic novel Mouse out of their lessons on the Holocaust because it contained some nudity and some bad language. Personally, I'm shocked because, given the story of Mouse, I'm surprised that that's what made you uncomfortable. The fact that there was some nudity, and I mean, it's about the Holocaust, the killing of 6 million people, but that didn't bother you. But the naked.
I'm not sure that they don't use the naked part as a kind of a canard to throw you off from the fact that they don't like history that makes white people look bad.
Well, this is white people doing it to white people.
Yeah.
So this is, y'all go fight amongst yourselves. This is white people doing it to white people.
Yeah.
So this is, y'all go fight amongst yourselves. This is white people doing it to white people.
Yeah.
So this is, y'all go fight amongst yourselves.
Colleges, this all started in colleges and universities and not wanting to make kids uncomfortable. And we talked about it once here on the show with actually Van Jones when he said, if I send my kids to school, I want them to be uncomfortable. I want people to push back on their beliefs, because otherwise we're not preparing kids to go out to the real world. We're preparing them for a world that doesn't exist outside of their own house.
Well, also, if you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. Let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. Let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. Let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race. It's about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's about
but
going
it's
after
not, it's
Jews
not about
and gypsies and
but these are two white groups of people. But these are two white groups of people. But these are two white groups of
Let's go,
people.
Brian.
But these are two white groups of
go.
people.
Well, how do we have to black
They
people
just see
too?
them as white.
Fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the study of antiquity and the Middle Ages. As always, I am your host, Nick Barksdale, and today we are joined once again by Dr. Rebecca Futo-Kennedy, who's going to take us through a thought-provoking episode on the term sub-Saharan and the whitewashing of ancient North Africa.
Yes, I just think we should sort of like, because this idea, this like sort of continually trying to find this idea of, you know, separating out North Africa from sub-Saharan as if the Sahara was the impermeable boundary that nobody could get through is really a continually problematic type of argument. Particularly since we have early texts that tell us that, right, Herodotus tells us that, he says the Ethiopians and the Garamantes are indigenous to North Africa, and that, of course, the Phoenicians and the Greeks are not. But he makes it very clear that people he call Ethiopians are indigenous to North Africa, and Northwest Africa in particular, right? But they are not sub-Saharan. So I constantly... What is the obsession that people have with this idea of sub-Saharan, that whenever they ask any question, what they're trying to do is prove that sub-Saharan Africans aren't part of the ancient Mediterranean world, which we know is false. Not only do we know, of course, that people that we would call quote-unquote sub-Saharan Africans ruled Egypt before the Persians got there, among others, but that they have this continual culture that runs up and down the Nile. And we know from our ancient sources that they believed very firmly, and they interacted with what in the area that they called Libya, right? So ancient geography, Herodotus separates. There's a big geographic debate in the 5th century, right? So on the one hand, we have Hecataeus, who has his map of the world, and Herodotus seems to be addressing him and trying to correct him at various points in his history. But there's debate of whether there's one continent or two continents, whether everything west of the Nile is its own continent called Libya, or whether it's not. One of our ancient sources actually has Europe and North Africa as one continent. Yeah, because Libya is the name that he uses for everything west of Africa, essentially, is what Herodotus uses. But it's also used at some points for the entire continent of what we call Africa, because remember, Africa is a Roman word. It's not a Greek word. They didn't call it Africa. But yeah, this idea that there's a natural impermeable boundary that starts at the Sahara Desert, and that there's no penetration, and that everybody who has quote-unquote black skin is below that line historically, and everyone above that is somehow magically white, shows, one, a real lack of knowledge of how space works and how geography functions and how mobility and movement in the ancient world functioned. It shows a very limited view of our ancient sources. Like I said, I think I said this in another clip. If you're going to live by Herodotus, you got to die by Herodotus too. And if you're going to cite Herodotus for evidence of one thing, then you have to accept the fact that Herodotus says that the black people, Ethiopians in our ancient parlance, Ethiopians really in our ancient parlance, are indigenous to North Africa. They're indigenous to Libya, which is his word for basically everything north of the Sahara, because as far as he's concerned, south of the Sahara is uninhabitable, right? They believe that was an uninhabited region, uninhabited zone. Nobody lived there. It was too hot. So this is you have to understand that our ancient sources were very clear that in that northern part of Africa, that's where Ethiopians lived, were indigenous to. That means there were black people there, but also the people that we refer to now as either Nubians or Cushites. Those were also called Ethiopians by our Greek sources, and they were in Egypt, and they controlled Egypt for various times. And we actually have a lot of evidence, if you put Egypt into its African context in antiquity, its vision is not to the north, right? It looks to the Nile and to what we would call south, right? To the upper Nile, the upper Egypt. And in fact, the cult of Isis is actually integrated across the what we would consider the two separate kingdoms of Egypt and Nubia in antiquity, but their worship of Isis is almost identical, and they are integrated and looking to each other as early as the second millennium BCE. So we really just need to not think about this separation, which isn't even a modern separation, right? This idea of sub-Saharan is a modern racist trope. This idea of sub-Saharan is a modern racist trope. This idea of sub-Saharan is a modern racist trope.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10.
All families. So families doing the decades, the centuries, the generations, the millenniums, families, what they call a different age, a different dispensation. Families, man, people been rewriting all types of stuff. You got scribes today, what they call ghostwriters. They will write your storyline, man. And families, they will give you the narrative. They are the author of whatever you intake in, families. Be careful what you read, man. Recognize the signs out here, families. Recognize every aspect of life. That's what being real is all about. You recognizing every aspect of life. You have a high level of awareness. So recognize these signs. You never forgot, Zion. The Most High Ben want you to remember Yasharal. That's why Hamashiach tells you during communion, you do this in remembrance of me. Let's go, man. We out here.
This is gonna be amazing. See, we've made it this far. I wanna make it. I know you feel the same way too. If we stay attached to the vine, we can bear fruit so divine. And when I close my eyes, I imagine that I'm reigning with Christ to receive a crown of glory. What a beautiful thing it will be. I wanna make it. I know you feel the same way too. So when you close your eyes, imagine that you're reigning with Christ. Don't be afraid in these times. Just let your faith rise up, don't be shy. This is everything I wanted. To receive a crown of glory. This is everything I wanted. Good and faithful servant. This is everything I wanted. To receive a crown of glory. This is everything I wanted. Good and faithful servant. When Christ shall come down, I'll stand in awe of his majesty. I shall bow before my Lord and Savior and King. And when I close my eyes, I imagine that I'm reigning with Christ. We stay attached to the vine. We can bear fruit so divine. Don't be afraid in this time. Just let your faith rise up, don't be shy. This is gonna be amazing. See, we've made it this far. I know you feel the same way too. This is everything I wanted. Everything I wanted. Receive a crown of glory. Glory. This is everything I wanted. Everything I wanted. Good and faithful servant. Servant. This is everything I wanted. Everything I wanted. Receive a crown of glory. Glory. This is everything I wanted. Everything I wanted. Good and faithful servant. Servant.
I'm packing up, I'm getting ready to go. I'm packing up, getting ready to go. I'm packing up, getting ready to go. I'm packing up, getting ready to go. Said we're finally going home, yeah. Said we're finally going home. Packing up, getting ready to go. Packing up, getting ready to go. Packing up, getting ready to go. I'm packing up, getting ready to go. Said we're finally going home. I said we're finally going home, y'all. We finally going home, y'all. Yeah, we packing up, leaving America. It's a miracle. Just imagine us on the boats headed home. No more yo, yeah, we gone. Sorry, Nara, Babylon, yeah, you done us wrong, and you reaping destruction from the lands of the north and the Russians. While we headed east, destination Jerusalem won't be no peace until we make it back home, ruling the nations. With Yahshua on the throne, healing the creation, waiting on the manifestations of the sons of Elohim. This is not a dream, even though it may seem. Salvation on the scene, it's a beautiful thing. Being in your own land, being treated like a man, even the children playing with nowhere we in. Zechariah chapter 8, Isaiah chapter 11. On earth, the kingdom of heaven on. Kingdom of heaven, y'all. I said we finally going home, y'all. Said we finally going home. Hey, we finally going home. We finally going home, y'all. Packing up, get ready to go. Packing up, get ready to go. Packing up, getting ready to go. We packing up, get ready to go. We finally going home. Finally going home, y'all. Yahweh's about to bring the throne. Oh, say we finally going home. For 100 years, oh yeah. Finally going home, y'all. Finally going home, y'all. Yeah, we finally going home after all these years. So much blood, sweat, and tears shed over here. Yeah, we finally going home after all these years. So much blood, sweat, and tears shed over here. Yeah, we finally going home after all these years. So much blood, sweat, and tears shed over here. And I hope you hear. It's about you, it's real. The true shepherd real. Just know it's time to heal. And I hope you hear. It's about you, it's real. No need, no deal. Just know it's time. What's real, and what ain't?
way back, focus on nothing but healing. I'm only one out of a million, trying to speak life to the realest. We had our back against the ropes, now it's about time that they feel this. We in the street with the dealers, we in the street with the killers. Reasoning out of the scriptures, 365 to the killers. Your pastor comes in the building, he's telling lies and he's stealing. He said the law's on the way, but he said time can stay. I cannot get with the hate. I'm in the shop with the jewels, I'm on the block with the bros. We march the city for peace, that they won't tell on the news. They gotta sing in the blues, cause we got nothing to lose. They kill us dead in the street, and we supposed to play like it's cool. Gotta thank God for the government, don't see y'all think it's irrelevant. They choose their life in the beast, more like a modern day Hellenist. I found my God in the oracles, you found your God in the elements. You live your life for the hell of it. I live my life for the promises, cause it's heaven sent. What's real, and what ain't, I've been gone, now I'm in. Now what's real, and what ain't, I've been good, can't complain.
Lot of ups and downs, still I don't complain. You know it take a lot to go through to thick and thin and still stay the same. Been keeping it real ones don't change. Why the cost say soul in this life and get a block to your name? Oh man, man still putting that work. Yeah, I know my worth. I ain't looking back now, I ain't trying to revert. Still staying on the earth. New man rebirth. They trying to scheme on me, trying to plot on me, hoping that it's gonna work. Got my eyes on the prize. You gotta be wise, Satan rolling around, different disguise. Spiritual eyes, I gotta see him. I ain't surprised at all. Wolf in sheep clothing, we got spies, we got some rights. And I'm blessed though, y'all don't get me stressing on these obstacles. Watch how I finesse though. Blessed though, y'all don't get me stressing through these obstacles. Watch how I finesse up.
What's real, what ain't, I've been gone, yeah, I'm in. Now what's real, what ain't, I've been good, and I ain't complaining. What's real, what ain't, I've been gone, now I'm in. Now what's real, what ain't, I've been good, can't complain.
With the children of Yahuah Yahudah that scattered abroad on all four corners of this planet, that you chose and seed of Yah. I want to say that we are forever our sons and daughters of Yahshua, and we been out to Yahweh Zion. I want to say that I love you, shalom, and shalom. We out to Yahshua.